Now that we have inserted the data into the database, the only thing that is there to do is to get that data from the database. And another thing we can do, it is to update the data, because these are the only 4 operations that are very important in our database. Drop, either to delete something, to insert something, to update something, or to get the data from something. So now let's understand how we can retrieve the data that we have inserted into the database, because after all, it is the data that we need from the database to work on. So let us do that and see how can we do it. So first of all, what we need to do, from the last series, from the last lecture, we saw that we need to comment the insertion, because whenever we make insertion updation, we need to comment the data. So now we have commented the data is in our database. So now let's try to retrieve this data from the database, and let us see how can we use that data in our, say, machine learning project, say in other project, say in any other thing. Though let's do it. So first of all, what we need to do is to write the query. So let's see how can we write the query. So we can say query is equal to select all from customers, and now if we will execute this command, because we are not giving any other wire statement or any clauses, so if we will execute this statement, we will get the result. So we can say cur.execute the query. Now as we execute this query, we get an error, because what is the error? I misspelled the select. So let us select, and now our query has been executed successfully. Now the result has been retrieved. But there are two ways, there are two methods with which we can get that data. Say suppose I want to use this data, so what can I do? I can say for row in cur print rows. So if I print, these are the rows that are present in my database. But since these are the rows, and if I execute this query again, because I need to use these results, I need to manipulate these results. So for that, if I will execute this and say I will store this in results, now if I execute this for loop again, we will see we got an type error, because none type object is not iterable. It means that when we retrieved the data using the cur.execute command, it did return the none object. So we cannot store those data in the variable at the retrieval time. So what we can do, we have two methods for this purpose. We have fetch all and fetch one. So what we can do is we can say results is equal to cur dot fetch all. If I execute this, and now if I say for x in results print result, I can get, if I say print x, I can get the same thing, but now those are in the variable result. Now if we will see what is results, it also contains the list. If we will see, these are the tuples, these are the rows one by one. And now if we see this, what is in the cur object, it is not in a list form. So whenever we use this fetch all, it gets the results from the database in the list form. Now we can perform all the operations that are in the list. Suppose we want to get the fourth element of the list, so we can say results of 4. It will give us the fourth result of the database. And this is one method when we have to retrieve the data, and it's known as fetch all, and it retrieves all the results that satisfy the condition. Now what if we want to fetch one result? We want to fetch first result that is present there. So whenever we say select the employees where the salary is greater than 20,000, so it will retrieve the, if we use the fetch all method, it will retrieve all the elements which have the greater than salary of 20,000. We also have another method which we can use to get the data from the database. Once we have retrieved the data from the database using the cur.execute method, then there is another method which we can use to store the data. So that is known as Fetch1 method. It gets the first element of the result. So let us see how it is done. So if we write the query, again select all from customers and then execute that query. Now I will say 1 is equal to cur.fetch1, and I will give it the nothing. So if I say fetch 1, then I will execute it, and if I print 1, then I can see it got the first result that is present in the database. Say suppose I want to say select all from customers where say name is equal to Chuck, name equal to Chuck, and let us get it, and we will see it retrieved the Chuck. But what if I say where ID is greater or equal to, say I will say 10. Let us see what it will get us. It will get us the 10th element. It only gets the first element that it receives while retrieving the data, or say while getting the data from the cur. We can also use where statements in these SQL queries to filter our data, and since we are here to see how to integrate SQL and Python, so you must be knowing how to use the where queries and how to use the filters, how to use other things in select queries, and using the same structure we can retrieve the data from the databases which we have. Now let us see how can we delete the data from the database. This is simple because all we have to do is follow the structure. Write the query, write that query, execute that query, and we are good to go. Now let us see how can we do that by a simple example. We will say query is equal to delete from customers where say address is equal to, say I want to delete this voila. I will say where address is equal to sideways 1633. Now all I need to do is to execute this query. So I will say cur.execute the query, and if I execute this query, the result will be deleted. Now all I have to do is, since I'm making a change in the database, I have to commit the change. Now let's commit the change. So how can we commit the change? All we need to do is say con.commit, and when we run this code, the changes are permanent in our database. Now let us see whether the row that we selected has been deleted or not. So how can we do that? We can say query, we can say cur.execute select all from customers for x incur print x. And as we will scroll down, there is no 15th element which was present before, and there is no entry in the database which has the data which has the address of sideway 1633, or which has the name of Susan, which has the name of Voila. So in this way we can delete the data from our database. Now there is another query that we have to know, that is how we can update the data in our database. So now let us see how can we do that very fast and very simple. Until now you should be very familiar with the structure that we are following. What structure are we following? If we are making any change in the database, we are committing that change. And what is the structure that we have to follow? What is the blueprint that we have to follow? Is that we have to write a query for the operation that we want to perform, and after getting that operation, after getting that query for the operation, we have to execute the query. If it creates a change in the database, we commit the change. If it does not create a change in the database, we do not commit the change. So now let us see how can we update the database. Suppose we want to update the address of Betty to something, say ABC. So what we can do is I can use the update query. So I can say query is equal to update customers set address. So address equal to ABC while name is equal to Betty. Now if I execute this query, what I will get is my data will be updated. So I will say execute query. Now as I have executed the query, what I need to do, because I'm making a change in the database, so I need to commit the change. So how can I do that? I can say con.comment. When I run this command, the changes have been done in my database and the connection has committed those changes into the database, made permanent those changes. So now let us see what is present in my database. I will copy the above commands. I will select all the elements from the database, from the customers table, and I will print those. As you can see, Betty has now the address of ABC. So this is the way how we can update the data in the database in the table. So these are the most important operations that we can perform, that we have to perform on a database, and these are the most important and most frequently used operations. So in this way we perform the operations using Python and MySQL onto the data in the database. This was all for this video. I hope you like this video. If you understand the concepts I just showed in this video, please give this video a thumbs up, share and subscribe my channel. That would be very nice of you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. And voila, say machine learning. Because in next video, we are going to see how we can import the data that we just stored in our database into the pandas data frame and work with machine learning. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Take care.